continuity. First, we started with the first episode and second episode. We casually recorded. It came out very well, and then simply we released the same thing.
Correct.
Okay, first episode you talked about
Correct.
Kodiveri, which is your paternal native place, where your grandfather Hanumantarao lived, and only son Srinivasarao was born there. And your first visit described the village and your ancestral house there, and your lands and all those. So it was a very scenic episode. That episode, okay. Then the next episode, we thought why not little bit briefly look at young Srinivasa Rao, how he moved on from the education and etc. So he had his college education in Coimbatore. He stayed with
Periyamma. He said Dadamma and stayed.
Correct. Then for higher education, he moved to St. Joseph's College, Trichy, where he passed, and then he chose the professorship at St. Joseph's College, Bangalore, where he was asked to set up the mathematics department. So he moved to Tasker Town, in the central Bangalore now. And there he lived with his, he married in Namagiri. And with Namagiri, he had 5 children. And those children, everybody, we lived in Tasker Town. At some point of time, he moved to 6th Cross, Gandhinagar, which is central, what is it?
Central CBD, Central Business District.
Central Business District. But this,
Central Jail Extension.
Central Jail Extension.
Earlier called a Central Jail Extension. And renamed as Gandhinagar.
He located the plot at 6th Cross, Gandhinagar, built a 2-storied house with a fountain we saw. And then he lived there. Okay. Then subsequently he moved to 2nd Cross.
Correct.
And today we thought in 2nd Cross Gandhinagar house, how the life started, what happened, who are all the people in that situation, house, and such things we thought we will.
And also we wanted to tell about this episode. So after initially my father moved, he was in Gandhinagar 6th Cross with his family, Namagiri, and 5 children. And of course, as she came only, she was not so well. So she was unable to move and walk, and so she was a wheelchair patient. And that is why the house they constructed without any waskal. That in between the door, between each room and all those things,
so that wheelchair can move.
So that it can move freely inside. She can move freely inside. But she was continuing to be not so well. And then after some time, what happened was she expired in that place. And immediately there was a confusion in the family. I mean to say, the whole household has to be managed and all those things. To tidy up the situation, the situation, many people of the family helped in giving assistance in managing the household, cooking and looking after the 3 children who were there. Other two children had already settled, like Krishnamurti.
Settled,
they moved out of Bangalore, because the eldest one was Kitana Ranganathan. So he finished his intermediate in St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. Then because St. Joseph's College was affiliated to Madras University, he got a seat for graduation in Christian College, Madras. So I don't know, my father had affinity for Madras because he was from the teaching.
But also he was, as a professor, he was
connected with Madras University. So he told Christian College is very good. So he joined the Christian College. There he did his BSc, Bachelor of Science. Then what happened, in fact, while studying BSc, one of his classmates was a famous Tamil actor, Gemini Ganesan. So Kadal Mannan. So that means a love hero. Romance.
I'll tell you.
Romantic hero.
In those days, there were 3, not those days, after he passed out, subsequently, there were 3 big heroes in the Tamil movies.
Correct.
M.G. Ramachandran, Shivaji Ganesan, and Gemini Ganesan. M.G. Ramachandran was friends of the poor and such things.
Correct.
And he projected sort of a tiling person.
Correct.
Shivaji Ganesan was a multi-role actor.
Correct.
Of a character actor.
Correct.
Very good actor. Everybody.
Correct.
Gemini Ganesan carved himself to be a
romantic hero. And
so he was your classmate of yours.
And he must have heard of Kalyana Parisu, one of the blockbuster movie at that time. So with Saroja Devi acted, and it was even today the songs are in my ears. It is such a famous actor he was.
So he was the classmate.
So he was the classmate of
maybe at that time he didn't know that he is a classmate.
He knew, he was telling. No, he was telling from then only that Gemini Ganesan, is my classmate and all those things. So he used to brag about it, my brother. So Ranganathan had moved there, and then Ponna was there. Ponna had finished his school almost, and of course he didn't go to the college. He was he was in the house at that time, and then there was Rajamma was there. Not married. Padmavati had also got married to Gopinath Rao of MA from Mulubagal, Karnataka, and he was in a Mysore police service. So he was in a transferable job. She had already moved out of Gandhinagar. Of course, she used to sometimes visit and all those things. People. So these three people were there. Along with them, he moved. My father moved to Gandhinagar, second cross.
Why he moved?
Because he wanted to change the house.
Change of atmosphere.
Change of atmosphere, make a new house. So he got fortunately a site bigger than what was in 6th cross, about 50 by 90.
That's
so, and he specifically built the building, the rear side of the site, because he wanted a big, he was a lover of garden, being in Bangalore, so he wanted to have a nice garden outside. And it was an English type of cottage, not very big by any standard, but his own mother, Tangamma, told, Sirsa Katti Pilsava. That means build a small house, give like a king, be like a prince.
Live in a small place, doesn't matter.
And that is how
live rich.
Live rich, and that is how it continued for a long time. That type of house continued. And in that house, already 3 people were there. The 3 children who were about 10, 12, 15, within 15, 16 years, round about that 3 children were there. And my father had moved. And then at that time, what happened was, some people used to come and help the family people.
Naturally.
Mostly grandmothers, 3 grandmothers were mainly.
At least one lady should have been there at any time.
No, at any time, no, by rotation they were there. There were more than one. Sometimes 1 or 2 people were there actually. So first was Tangamma was there. Tangamma is his own mother. So she was Apnu's mother, and she was in Kudiveri. Her husband was Hanumantrao was a tax collector, tax inspector in Kudiveri. So he was busy and looking after the lands. So he used to, she has to attend to him also. And sometimes rarely he would visit Bangalore also to see his son. And she was also coming like that. And then after some time, then another person who used to come was Chechiava. Chechiava was his Hanumantrao's brother. There was Narayan Rao. Younger brother, Narayan Rao. Narayan Rao's wife was Seshamma. But Narayan Rao passed away earlier, so my father was also looking after indirectly her well-being, even in Kodiveri. So she was there. She used to come to Bangalore also. But one of the handicapped, Chikkamma, she used to come. She was a widow and she was coming. But actually, what happened was, she was tied up in another place. That her daughter, she adopted a daughter from the own relative called Singaramma.
They didn't have
children. Narayan Rao and Chechiva did not have any children. So they adopted a girl, daughter, very fair and short and with a squint eye. She was very fair, very good looking actually. Without Singaramma. And she got married to one advocate Nagarajan of Udumalpet. And advocate Nagarajan was a very famous lawyer in Udumalpet. Advocate, in fact, one of the roads, one of the streets in which they live is called Advocate Nagarajan Street. So that was there, and they had a big house.
Maybe he was official somewhere.
He was also a municipal councillor of
That is the reason why
Udumalpet municipality.
that
And he
street
was
got-
doing he was doing a lot of good for the people.
Probably he is the only person with a name, street named in your family. I'm telling. In
Correct.
any
Correct.
ordinary families.
Correct. So everybody will tell, if you tell, when we pass to Udumalpet, where is Advocate Nagarajan Street, everybody will tell, that is how we used to go in the car directly to their house.
Oh, okay.
And there
Means at that time itself it was named like that.
yes, at that time only Advocate Nagarajan, because he was sufficiently
Advocate
good lawyer.
Nagarajan Road.
Advocate Nagarajan, and Advocate Nagarajan, also Advocate Nagarajan and Singarama had two children, two boys. One was called as Jairam, elder boy. He became a lawyer, took after the profession of his father, and he became a good advocate. And another person, Krishnaraj, younger brother. Two people were living there, and Singarama continued to live there because the two children of Singarama, Jairam and Krishnaraj, were adopted by the brother who was called as Dr. U.V. Srinivasan, younger brother. He was a
Why?
leading
Because,
medical practitioner. They too didn't have children. The husband
Nagarajan passed away.
Nagarajan passed away, and she was
Once Nagarajan passed away,
correct,
these two children were
adopted by his brother, Dr.
Nagarajan's
younger brother, who was a doctor, leading
Dr. Srinivasan.
Dr. U.V. Srinivasan. So he was an MBBS doctor, very famous doctor in that area,
Udumalpet.
very Udumalpet. And he also became the councillor of
Oh,
Udumalpet. He was also like Udumalpet councillor. So
big
he
shots
was
of
big
Udumalpet.
shots of this one, and very rich house. It was an old type of house, very big house. In fact, I visited their house also. So because we all went once, we passed through
see,
Udumalpet.
this Udumalpet, Pollachi are all hilly, very nice.
Hill area, nearby hill. Udumalpet,
Very
Pollachi,
scenic area.
scenic area, and because behind that was Tirumurti Hills. And Tirumurti Hills is a gateway to Anamalais. Anamalais transport, you must have heard of
Anamalai
Anamalai
Transport Corporation.
all those buses used to run through Pollachi and this one. And we could see the Tirumurti Hills from the backdrop of Udumalpet. Huge hills.
Why
Anamalai,
you want to go to that place?
no, we went actually later because my brother was working in Sholayar, Parambikulam,
Brother means
Kittanna was working later. And we used to pass through Udumalpet and Pollachi and then climb the Anamalai Hills. Anamalai Hills. It is you can imagine, it is bigger than even Ooty. Anamalai is the highest, Aanemudi. That is the highest peak in Tamil Nadu, not Ooty. So that hill was there, and lot of elephants were there in that, and that is why it's called Anamalai. Anamalai, and greenery, full of green. You must have
So he
heard
was
of.
a project officer there.
No, he was the engineer there, executive engineer. in the project. Sholayar, Parambikulam, Alliyar project, PIP. So he was there, this one. So we used to pass through that many times.
So Udumalpet,
Udumalpet also we passed through.
So
We used to
you
pass through.
visited this.
Once we visited, when my father also came, we went in car to their house, in our baby house.
Their house means
Srinivasan. Srinivasan. So this is the Chetiva. He was a pet of Singarama. She will she will not leave this one to go to this one. After some time, she stays in Bangalore. She will be pulled back. Why are you staying for such a long time in Bangalore? Come back
But
to
Chetiva will
also go
visit.
on and off will visit, and suddenly we don't know. But she enjoyed living in Bangalore. She liked Apuno, so she was living in Bangalore. But whenever the call came, she had to go and she had to rush, and she had to satisfy the desires of her daughter also. Like that it happened.
But
So
Secheva played a role in looking
she had played a greater role. In spite of her this type of life, she used to come to Bangalore whenever possible and stay here for a longer duration and help
as long as
Apuno and all
possible
those
and
things
all.
and all those things. So she continued that. And another one person was, of course, Saraswati Ammal was also, because being her own brother, she was also having this one, but she lived in Mettur. Mettur she was living, and
With her
husband was Varadaraja Rao, who was the headmaster of the Mettur High School in between. Eldest son, 5 daughters, and last one son. So they were there happily living. but so she had also had to sacrifice leaving their home in Mettur
Their
and
family.
coming to their family needs, and they had to come to Bangalore because of the crisis. There was nobody
Nobody
there.
in Bangalore.
So she also used to come on and off and stay with her brother.
So three.
Eldest was a son, last was a son.
First son, next
Last
last son,
son,
in between five
in
daughters.
between 5 daughters were there. So they were in Mettur, and the eldest of the son was Ramarao.
Ramarao.
So he became afterward the postmaster in Bangalore.
Okay.
He was and he had a similar characteristic like his mother. So he was very humorous and very cracking jokes. He was good in mimicry.
Oh,
He used to imitate
okay.
all the leaders at that time, Congress leader like Nehru and other people. Used to talk exactly like that. And
So
he
entertaining.
always
Very
very entertaining. And he was, but when he was about 16 or 17 years at that time, he was the eldest son. So there was a lot of floods in. Lot of water was inrush of water was there in Kaveri, and the Mettur Dam backwaters were there. So he swam, and because of the new water coming, there were also stones and others coming there with high velocity in the current. So it hit his knee, and he became little bit limping afterwards. It was not at all solved. So then he was driving the cycle. He used to pedal the cycle. He used to come
in spite of all this.
He used to come to our house, and once
in Gandhinagar.
And once he used to come at 6:37, like that means he will be going on talking up to 11, 12 o'clock. He will go back to his house. And once there is no light, the police caught him and he told light. He told, oh, the moonlight is so. So there is this one. So he was first son, and Ramarao, and then there was Lakshmi was there, next daughter. She was married to one Krishnamurti. They were in more in Trichur and other places in Kerala. They were working.
Okay.
He was working, and they were in Kerala. And the next daughter was Radha. Radha was married to one Madhav Rao, who was a forest ranger in Madhya Pradesh. So they were there in Madhya Pradesh, and Radha was there. And next to that, Radha was this one, Kamala. Kamala was in Chennai. Kamala's husband Raghavendran was in Indian Airlines.
Okay.
They had 4 sons, and Kamala was there. And next to Kamala was one Sukanya was there. Sukanya was married to one Prahlada, who was in public health engineering service, public health service of UK, and he was working in London. Settled in London. So they settled in London. And next to that was Sulochana, who was married to Dr. Banik, who was a Bengali gentleman, and from Calcutta. He's from Calcutta. He was in the postal department. He was a doctor in Bangalore. And afterwards, they migrated to UK. He got a job in National Health Service, and they were in London. And this Sulochana is now also living in London in her own house, and she is also very jovial and talkative and all those things. So she was there. I used to go and meet her also whenever I used to go to London. The next was Hanumu, the last son.
Hanumu means?
Hanumu means Hanumantarao. Hanumantarao, name
same your grandfather.
Same name as a grandfather, because Hanumantarao, Kodiveri Hanumantarao.
Okay.
So my name was Hanumantarao, S. Hanumantarao.
You are S. Hanumantarao, he was
V. Hanumantarao. So both were there, and he was my close friend also, because we used to meet quite a lot, and he was a jolly fellow. I mean, say he was a gold medalist in textiles, BSc textiles. There is a photo of him receiving gold medal from Maharaja of Mysore. Because Sri Jayachamrajendra Technological Institute was there. He was a successful textile engineer, and he was general manager of so many mills and all those things. Then he was general manager of Valliyappa Textiles in Bangalore. Then he was almost right hand of Valliyappa. So then he was also, for short stint he had in Indonesia, Bandung, Indonesia. He worked in Indonesia. And he was married to Parimala, who was the granddaughter of two divans.
Granddaughter of two
Two
divans.
divans.
Ah.
The family, two divans, they got connected.
Yeah.
Like one is Travancore
So
divan.
her Parimala's parents, grandfather, two grandfathers, maternal, paternal.
Yes, they were all.
One was in Trivangur divan, another is Mysore divan.
Mysore divan was Krishnamurti.
Okay.
Mysore divan Krishnamurti, and that is why their whole family, everybody carried the names, title as Rao Sahib.
Rao Sahib.
Rao Sahib, and they were living in a palatial house, old antique type heritage home in Malaysia.
Oh.
So that is called as Vema Lodge.
Vema
Lodge. It is
Yeah.
very famous.
Yeah.
And
Is it still there?
It is still there. It is still there. They were living. This Hanumantarao and Parimala were living in that house, the upstairs full house. It was had a veranda and beautiful view of the Malaysia. It is a huge plot, and they were there. And that house is still there. That iconic house in Malaysia is still there. And so what happened? This big family.
But point is, it means when Saraswati, that second class house to sixth class house to second class house, professor moving with three children.
Correct.
At that point of time, all these people would have been children.
All these people, their children were there.
Children were there. Almost seven. All the seven, or maybe only six.
No, you can tell seven only for our practice, because afterwards was after coming to Bangalore, I think Harmo was born.
Oh, last one.
Otherwise,
all the six children. The family was living.
Family there, and she used to come sometime. Maybe
would it not have been difficult for her?
It was so. It was to help the brother. She has to help her brother.
So three ladies.
Three ladies were mainly responsible. After that, two of them had to go from there, like Chechiva and this Saraswati Ammal had to sacrifice their own some other needs in their place and come to Bangalore and help.
So that was the way of living.
That was the
of affection and the bondage between families.
And as I told earlier, these three people were there, like Kitana and Ramu, Kitana and Padmavati being out of Bangalore. There were three people were there. There is Ramu, Rajamma, and Panna. They continue. So what happened? This was like that, and in the going on. And meanwhile, Saraswati thought that okay, this type of arrangement is okay, but how long it will continue? This has to be some permanent solution has to be found. Permanent.